only the second time this has happened for us, where we've been able to record the show live in person where we're sitting in the same room.
I know, right? I mean,
pretty exciting.
You know, it's something people take advantage for granted a lot of times,
Right.
but not us.
We're usually on different sides of the country when we record this.
Right?
And here we are together. This is fantastic.
Like a foot away from each other.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about it, frankly.
You should be. Who knows what I'm going to do, right?
Exactly.
So I was thinking, too.
Yeah.
We were about 25 shows in the first time that we were together in person, and now we're about 50 shows in, and we're together again. And so I was thinking, like, every 25 shows or so,
right.
we really have things. Tell us about what you're drinking.
Well, I ordered the Sutter Smash. In a lot of ways, there is a thing there because the infected folks in this show get smashed frequently. So
they do. To the scene of a kitchen, and they're drinking orange juice, vitamin C, like trying to build up immune systems and stuff like that. I am building up my immune system with this mimosa.
I don't know if you're building up your immune system, but you're certainly building up something.
BS.
Maybe so. Cheers, sir.
Cheers to you. Hey, cheers to look at that.
Moonshine, Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Hello and welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. You've joined us for our segment where we are going to let our geek flags fly pretty proudly.
Do you think we can do it?
I'm
not sure we're geeky enough.
Well, I don't know if I am, but you certainly are.
I certainly am.
In a post-apocalyptic time, that's the result of humans becoming infected by a mutated fungus. So it's not really a disease, it's a fungus. It gradually takes control of people. It infects their minds, takes control of them, and they basically slowly turns them into cannibalistic zombies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really zombies, but they're kind of zombies, right?
Fungus zombies.
Yeah. Fungus among us, basically. And so it follows Joel, who's this hardened person. It's 20 years in as the fungus has started taking over. Yeah. And he ends, right? The scientist who's a specialist in fungal infections.
Yep.
And she looks at the body that they have for her to examine there and sees the fungus and asks how this happened. They said, well, they were bitten.
Yeah.
And they said, what do we do? And do you remember what happened?
She says, you bomb the place. Based on video games, don't get great reviews. And
Correct.
I saw the trailers and I thought, I've got no familiarity with this. I like apocalyptic kind of stuff, like the dystopian future kind of stuff. I was in for it. So yeah, I had no experience with any of it at all, but was immediately grabbed by it.
Well, it's kind of interesting that it grabs you because it is like so many other shows in post-apocalyptic where there's some kind of infection and everyone's trying to avoid it, and they've got to figure out how we save humanity through all of this. What is it? What did you think that it was so, I'm going to use the word, what was so infectious about the show? I'm good with the dad jokes.
So I liked, the intro scene, right, is them talking, hey, we just had a global pandemic. We get that. Yeah, that really could happen. And then this other guy comes and he talks about the ants, right? And how a fungal infection can't happen in humans.
Right. It's never happened in humans.
Never happened in humans unless the Earth were to raise a few degrees.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of a sudden they're talking about climate change, and they're saying that is something that's disastrous.
Absolutely.
And they said, well, how about the vaccines? They said there aren't any vaccines for that. And so what was gripping about
environment a little bit. So it's also interesting in that there is for a show like this, there's a very limited number of characters.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, did you connect with any particular character? Was there anything in there that really you identified with?
Yeah, so what's going to happen. Yeah. And so, And so I say, I'm here. I can't wait for a season of following her. I know it's about Pedro Pascal's character and a young girl. I assume it's his daughter, right? So we spend 30 minutes getting emotionally attached to the daughter. There's an outbreak, and she gets shot by a border patrol guy or a cop or something. It's not really clarified, but she gets shot and she dies. And the main character who we've spent 30 minutes getting attached to is ripped from us.
Absolutely immediately. And for me, that was one of the more engaging pieces. When we lose this character, where I'm like, how in the world do you... How in the world do you have this main character that you sort of new border patrol that's trying to keep people from moving outside of infected areas, and just out of pure fear, he shoots her and she dies, and it kind of helps you understand why 20 years later, which is what the next cut is, why he is just rough around the edges to be very nice about it, smuggling and really kind of indifferent about people.
He was rough to begin with,
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, though, I found really interesting, how many times is he, the actor, going to be, my job is to take this young one with me and take them across whatever amount of space. I mean, she's basically a baby Yoda with an attitude, is she not? I mean,
that's right. So because Pedro Pascal's in The Mandalorian, and he's taking Grogu, baby Yoda across. That's right. That is his character. That is what he's good at. That is his...
To find the cure. Yeah. Have you found her to be a really engaging character so far?
She's okay. So she's interesting. I don't think she's as engaging as the daughter was. And I mean,
condemned zones to get her to the doctor.
Right, some kind of vaccine from her blood or something.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know really.
Right.
We're waiting to find out what was really going on.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious as where you think this might be going, because we've only had 2 shows. You've never played the games. You've never read about the games. And all we really have seen, infectious fungus, and then all of a sudden we have to save humanity through this young girl who has as much of an attitude as the guy who's trying to rescue her or deliver her to the doctors.
Well, do you know the storyline? Do you know what's going to happen? Before I guess.
I know a little bit about what happens in the game line, but I am not convinced that that's what's going to happen.
Okay, here's what I think is going to happen. I think I think the most of the season is going to be about the smuggling, and I think he's going to. So I saw the preview for episode 3 where they're going to meet up with the
Lake City.
Oh, they're in Boston.
They're in Boston. That's right. They're in Boston. They're going to be traveling to Salt Lake, and it's going to be quite the journey, and all kinds of interesting things are going to happen. But they've already renewed it for season 2. So my thing is, there's absolutely no way the doctors are going to be there. Because if they are,
get there.
You don't get a season 2.
Yes, you're right. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Second drink. We don't always get to see what drink we're on.
There we are.
But today we do.
There we go. I'm wondering if you feel like they did enough in the first. We usually don't talk about shows until they're pretty deep into a season.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you think they've done enough.
We've learned a lot about the characters yet. I don't think there's been a lot of character development. I'm invested. I want to see what happens, but I think you're right that we keep getting characters introduced and pulled out. Who knows?
And I think that's what we're going to see. Our 2 main characters are always going to be Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
And of the horrors of this post-apocalyptic world, who is also so sarcastic and biting in the way she responds to any adult.
Yeah.
Which is also sort of protecting herself.
Yep.
So we're throwing these 2 main characters together who are so kind of anti-relationship, and they're going to have to become a team in some way to make this journey to hopefully save all of humanity. I think that's going to be really interesting, and I suspect that it might be part of what we talk about in our in the next part of the show. So we're going to take another quick.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We are entering our next segment where we talk about theology and politics. And so here at the Moonshine Jesus Show, one thing we try to do is we try to talk about things that are going on in pop culture, and then we try to see how they relate to faith, how they relate to the way that we live our lives. And so there is a ton in this show, which I think is one of the reasons I liked it, Mark.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you just kind of sit there and just let the show happen, and don't pay too close attention, it can be just another show about surviving. Oh, you're going to my soft spot. You're quoting Spock.
I know I am.
love it.
Yeah. I want to know if the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. So is bombing of innocent people justified?
Right.
Is violence justified in this manner? If it is something that
all other possible avenues to have positive outcomes have happened.
Wait. One person might not have all the answers.
Know,
is that what
crazy.
you're saying? That
I
really
mean,
shoots my ego down.
I was going to say the one person wasn't you. So
well, that's right.
And you, I would have assumed that you were completely, you knew. Of course you would have known. But she's only a doctor who probably has multiple infectious disease.
Right.
She doesn't come to the level of what you do. So, of course, but in her case, the real problem I have is that she does make this decision. And we ultimately find out that it happened in lots of cities because we see them in a city where there are bomb craters and that kind of thing by violence. And what I see in this particular show is kind of what humanity always does. And they leap to the simple solution of violence. And we do see that happen here. And I think that's the bomb all of them.
Okay, so to follow up on this, one of the things that we get, one of the pieces of information that we get is that other than in Boston and maybe a couple of other places, it didn't even work.
Right.
So how about that? What about when we overestimate, if it's going to work? Are there consequences to that?
Well, I mean, they definitely overestimated, and they were incorrect that this would solve any real problems and would prevent the spread of it. But, I mean, the way it's being presented is there was no way for them to we avoid going to violence. Yeah. And then the gravity and the gravitas of arriving at the conclusion, man, we have tried everything. Yeah. And there's no choice. I can't believe we're going to have to kill millions upon millions, billions of people. I think that would have been, a lot more drama would have been introduced, and two, would have been a lot more informative for who we are and who we should be together.
Yeah, and we certainly didn't get any real struggle, right? Like, was this the right decision? Right. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, so who knows? But yeah, we didn't really get to struggle with that at all. So another question I have is, this is a fungal infection, and so one thing we find out is that the fungus has infected all of this life, and it's interconnected.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems to be that this is an evolution thing, right? Like it's a survival of the fittest. Like human beings were no longer the fittest, and the fungus was the fittest, right? So here's what I'm wondering. Maybe not with the fungus. But will humanity
that God has created,
right? Humanity. And so that's a lot of what people bring. A lot of
people bring that to it. For me, though, I have to leap outside of those kind of expectations and understanding of a special relationship between humanity and the divine.
Wait, are you saying we're not special?
I'm saying you're not special. I'm not saying that we're not. I think the rest of us are probably very special.
but just not me?
Well, you got a bow tie, so maybe a little bit special, You at least look of humanity, of rising up to the top, and then not caring enough about our connectedness. We talk about how the fungus has a connection with itself and communicates within the show. I really want to see them work on talking about how our ignoring how we're connected to each other and to the environment and to created the space that will ultimately destroy. Like, we are our own worst enemies. We created the situation that will destroy us.
Yeah. That's very interesting. And one of the things I thought that was also interesting about the it's fungus, right? So it's kind of a weird thing.
And I think it's at the core, for me at least, and it's one of the things about progressive Christianity. We have this kind of white, big, giant tent where you can have we even make space for various understandings of who and what God is. Yeah. And for me, it is that connectedness that thrives on love and support. Yeah. That's God.
Yeah. That if we're focusing more on how we're connected to each other, that's certainly more important.
If you think about it, this whole show doesn't happen if we understand how connected we are with each other and to creation. Yeah. If we really understood that that's part of what God is and what we are trying to seek out and understand, if we really truly understood that, this show makes no sense. Because all of the scenarios that set up what happens would never have happened.
Never have happened, right? Because then we have a relationship with creation and we're concerned with it. So, okay, I want to pivot a little bit. So, on the walls in Boston, So this is after the out. And I want to know, both in the show, how it relates, and in the real world, what do you think?
I believe in I'm going to start with the show.
Okay.
Because I don't like it in the show.
Yeah.
I got this really strong sense that was put up by a kind of cultist religious movement that was responding to everything that was happening. Because I don't know if you remember the scene where Joel is kind of observing stuff going on, and this one person walks up beside him and kind of is like casual, and then he was like, "You know about the light?"
Yeah.
And Joel was like,
right.
I'm not talking to you. But from a more theological point of view, yes, when we're in the darkness, look for the light. But let's not overstate the light. The way that has been used in religion for a very long time is not particularly intellectual. It's almost like, here's a nice kind of softball. If things are bad, hey, try to figure out what's not to each other and the folks that are in the world trying to be doing what is right and good. Because that is, even in today's world, what the light is, or the folks that are out there trying to break down the boundaries that other people set up, trying to break down the divisions that people create, and reconnecting us with each other and seeing the intrinsic value of every human life.
Yeah, and we should also point out, I think that, this is also, I mean, the look for the light thing is also kind of a racist, at least there are racial undertones and pieces of that. And
which is horrific.
The things of darkness and light, and light always being good or lighter.
Chaos is not chaotic. Chaos has a real purpose, and there's so many lessons to be learned as we experience and go through. It is part of what life is genuinely about. And so setting up that balance, I completely agree. Theologically, it's a bunch of crap. I mean, there's nothing useful or good about
darkness.
The way that is done. Yeah.
I love that. You've just changed the creation story for me, as you often do, Mark, with your theological insight.
I apologize. I don't mean to do that.
I love, and almost always, Mark makes me look stupid. Let's take a break and come back.
Appreciate it.
Moonshine Jesus,
Thank you. We really, truly appreciate you being here. And now this is so exciting. I cannot wait. I get really almost on pins and needles at this part to see if I can figure out the question that Caleb will go, oh, that is a good question. He does that a lot to buy time when I ask a question. It's not that he actually thinks it's a good question. It's that he's like, what can I say to buy a... So anyway, I have... The other thing, for those who are maybe here in person who don't follow the show, the other thing that Caleb has recently become really up in this story.
Yeah, that's really an interesting question, because we have not found out anything about it. We don't know anything about patient zero.
We have.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we haven't found patient zero. We
definitely haven't found patient zero.
Yeah.
But we've not found anything about.
Well, other than the climate.
Here is a theory.
Yeah.
And this is only going to make sense to the people who have watched the show, so I apologize to all of you who probably haven't seen it yet. So here's the thing. In the first episode, Joel is with his family. Am I using the right word, Joel, right?
Joel.
His name's Joel. And there's several different things that happen. Pancakes for your breakfast. I don't like pancakes. Well, we don't have pancake mix. They don't eat pancakes.
Yeah.
Go next door to visit the neighbors.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to eat cookies. Oh, you're putting raisins in the cookies? I'm not going to eat the cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, as she's leaving. Oh, would you like a biscuit? These are the best. I think the infection somehow came through
flour,
grain-based products. How far off is that?
I don't know. So that didn't occur to me at all. I'm like, she's a picky eater.
I am very weird and odd. I get that.
She's not interested in eating that.
And we will do another show.
That's right.
To see if
I'm going to hold you accountable.
Oh gosh.
So that's the thing. I'm going to say, hey, was it flour? I don't know.
That's fair. Very fair.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question.
I'm not worried. I'm not happy about this. I'm a little worried. Yeah.
Okay, so we've just seen the scene in the intro about, kind of the fungus and how it can grow into this pandemic, this global pandemic. There's nothing we can do to fight it.
Right.
The first people that we see infected with this fungal virus is
God, yes.
equals forgiven.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, get the T-shirt. Get the T-shirt. Three nails.
Yeah. Do you have a T-shirt that
No,
says
I've
that?
seen people with a T-shirt. The bumper sticker too.
North Carolina? I can't believe it.
I know, it's weird. You wouldn't think in North Carolina.
Okay, so what does it say that these are the first people that are infected with the virus? Is the writer trying to say anything about religion in general?
Understand spirituality and spiritual community. I mean, maybe there was intent to say that approach to life is going to dummy you down to a point that you're not paying enough attention, and you're going to find.
It shows this woman who is talking about religion, and it's very clear that she's coming from like a conservative evangelical kind of perspective. Right. And the kind of people that you think about being anti-vaxxers and people who then got infected with COVID-19 very early on, right? Because they weren't willing to take any kind of precautions.
Fair enough.
And so I think it is a commentary on religion, particularly religion that is anti-science. And so
science is like, I say, scientists, when someone says there's a kettle on the oven and it's boiling,
but or not,
fair enough.
I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna hold you accountable to that. I want to say,
I hope you do.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any way to really know if that was a commentary on anti-vaxxers or not.
You sold me, man. You really completely sold me on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, I take that as a victory.
You are
I'm going to take it as a win.
You're the all-knowing Caleb. We know that you are the one person who knows everything. So
yeah,
it's not surprising.
Unlike that person with multiple degrees, you know,
who told us bomb them all, bomb them all.
That's right. Okay. Hey, we don't yet have a
Moonshine